Welcome students. Before this unit, we have unit number 1 and it is followed by unit number 1 that is known as unit number 2, which is about importance of peace for human survival and development. If you kindly recollect, in the previous unit we had understood about the basic meaning of peace, then we discussed about what is positive peace, what is negative peace, then we discussed about what are different functional cooperation among the nations about peace and disarmament, arms control, all those things. So now we move from unit 1 to unit 2, which is about importance of peace for human survival and development. Means how peace is linked with survival and development of human in general. So what we are going to study in this unit, or let's say develop our understanding, the first is how peace is important for human survival and development. We all do understand that peace is an integral component for survival of human and its development. The second one is human-centric and state-centric paradigm of security. Means security has two dimensions. One is human and that is state-centric. We are going to discuss in detail about this particular paradigm of security. And the third will be how peace and security are related to each other. This is very surprising. Security and peace are interlinked with each other. How? We will discuss in detail with this in unit number 2. So what is this world without violence? How we can have a world when there is no violence? So for understanding about world without violence, let us understand the concept of static peace. What is static peace? A social situation in which nothing changes, no violence occurs for settling dispute. Static peace. Stable means we are creating a kind of social situation where nothing changes and no violence occurs for settling disputes. And another of static opposite, just opposite, is dynamic peace, a situation where differences do occur but they are settled non-violently. Can you understand about the difference between these two? Static peace says that a kind of social situation in which nothing changes and no violence occurs. When there is no change, no violence for settling the dispute. But dynamic means like movement. So dynamic peace is a kind of situation where difference do occur. We cannot say that difference is not occurring. Difference is occurring, but the difference is settled with the help of non-violence approach. So peace and development, basically they are interconnected. How? Because when there is a peace, then development will also occur. So how they are interlinked? The first is peace forms an important part of people's well-being and is therefore an objective of development. Means peace is an integral component of the well-being. When it is considered as one of the integral component of well-being, so it is always linked for the development. So it is one of the basic objective of development. An objective of development is enlargement of human choices. When we are concentrated towards the human development, then we can have so many choices factors for the overall development of the human in general. Then lack of peace has, when we don't have the peace, either static or dynamic, so what happens? The lack of peace has adverse consequences on economic growth and therefore development. So when the peace is not there, then no doubt there will be disturbances. So disturbances will occur the economic progress of the country in general. The next point is imbalanced development that involves horizontal inequalities is an important source of conflict. How? You can see that, let us take the example of our Southeast Asia where our country is situated. Let us take our neighbors Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, and China is also sharing the border with us. So what is happening? In all those countries, we can have different states of development, economic progress. So one country will be on the higher side of one of the index of economic development. Other country may be on the lower side of that. So what will happen? Because of this imbalanced development, horizontal inequalities may take place. Because of that, in general conflict arises. So imbalanced development is always considered as one of the important source of the conflict. Human development and peace, they are interlinked. How they are interlinked? because they are interlinked, because based on three basic tenets. What are those? Both are people centered, means human development and peace. The common point is people. So the peace is concerned with the people and human development is concerned with the people. So the common point between the human development and the peace is it is people centric. Second, both perspectives are multidimensional, means they address people's dignity as well as their material and physical concerns. Human development and peace, their perspectives are multidimensional and they address people's dignity as well as their material and physical concerns. And the third is poverty and inequality as a root causes for individual vulnerability. So when we can overcome poverty and inequality, then human development and peace are rest assured, because we can overcome all those reasons and causes which create individual vulnerability. So peace is linked with the security. How peace is linked with the security? How peace is essential for the security? This we can understand with the following two paradigms. The first will be state-centric paradigm and the second will be human-centric paradigm. So what state-centric paradigm says that? This says that this school of thought is known as realistic school of security. It says that security meaning the protection of national territory. The state has to take care of its own protection. The concept of national security for it is based on two major assumptions. The first is most threats to the state security arise from outside its borders. So state-centric paradigm says that, means a kind of realistic school of security which says that security means that it is for the prime responsibility of the state concerned to protect its national territory. The state has to take care of its own protection. No other state or country or the neighbor are going for security of your country. No, the individual state has to take care of its protection. The concept of national security under this school, means state-centric paradigm, is based on two major assumptions. The first is most threats to the state security arise from outside its border, means external threats, not internal. The first is external threats are on the major side for the security of the state, and these threats are primarily, if not exclusively, basically military in nature and usually require a military response if the security of target state is to be preserved. This particular school of thought says that if you have to protect your border, security of the state against any kind of external factors or external aggression, then the country should have a strong military in nature which can counter any kind of external challenges or external aggression that is mounted on the border of that particular country or the state. This particular school of thought also says that a nation is secure to the extent to which it is not in a danger of having to sacrifice its core values if it is wishes to avoid war. It should be able, if challenged, to maintain them by victory in such a war. In a simple word, it says that when any country or the state feels that because of these external aggression or compromise on the borders will lead to sacrifice of its core values for which the particular state or the nation is standing or existing. So if it has to avoid the war, it should be able, if challenged, to maintain them by victory in that war. Means you are going to challenge that aggression, you will come out as a emerged victorious, and you will be able to save the core values of the nation or the state for which it is standing. The next is comprehensive analysis of concept of security. So what does it say is that under this particular school, the first is military security, armed offensive and defensive capabilities of the state and state perception of each other's intention. means you prepare your country in such a manner that if there is any external aggression, so you can take care of that with the armed offensive, and you should have defensive capabilities strong enough so that if you are challenged, you can save and defend your country. The second is political security, organizational stability of the states, system of good, and the ideologies that give them the legitimacy. So political security is another important dimension of comprehensive analysis of concept of security under this particular school of thought. The third comes as economic security. The country should have access to the resources, finance, markets necessary to sustain acceptable level of welfare and state power. Fourth comes social security, means sustainability with the acceptable conditions for the evolution of traditional patterns of language, culture, religious, national identity and custom. And the finally comes environmental security, maintenance of the local area of the biosphere, eventual support system so that all human enterprises on which depend. So when we were studying about the state specific paradigm of security, so in that we find that the concept of security and its comprehensive analysis is based on different factors of the security. The first was the military security, means the concerned state or the nation is capable enough for the armed defensive and offensive capabilities, means you can counter the challenges by crossing your border, and if other state or country is challenging on your external border, you should have sufficient military power to defensive capabilities to safeguard your borders. The second comes political security, means organizational stability of the state, perfect sound parliamentary or presidential form of the government, any form of the government which gives a kind of political security to the country. The third is economic well-being, when the country is secure from the economic point of view. You should have access to the resources, finance, markets to sustain the sustainable accept the sustainable level for the welfare and the state power. And the fourth comes social security, equity, sustainability with the acceptable conditions for evolution of traditional patterns of language, culture, religious and national identity and customs. And finally comes environmental security. You should have your biosphere, natural biosphere, so that it can take care providing all those sustainability for the human development of the particular state. The second comes human-centric paradigm. First we have studied the state-centric paradigm, and the second is human-centric paradigm. Under human-centric paradigm, human security places human being as a core. Human being as a core means rather than the states, the focal point of security consideration is human individual. Human security holds that people-centered view of security which is necessary for national, regional and global stability. A deliberate attempt to switch attention from security of the states to the security of individual, means what we can say that the entire understanding of security is concentrated towards individual as a human, a world of peaceful coexistence including concepts of mutual security, common security and cooperative security. All these factors come under human-centric paradigm of security, which puts human as a core point of understanding the security concept. While in the first one, when we had gone for the state-centric paradigm, so in the state-centric paradigm, it was the state security, its safety against any kind of external aggression. That was the concept of security. And the human-centric paradigm is that the security has put the human consideration as the main point for securing considerations for the security. Human security holds people-centered view of security which is necessary for national, regional and global stability. So we were discussing about human-centric paradigm. I again repeat certain points of this paradigm about security so that you have a complete understanding. This says that human security places human as a center point, as a focal point of security consideration. So whenever any country, nation, any state is thinking about the security concept, they put human as a nodal point, a central point of any security consideration. And in this human-centric model, people-centered view of security is necessary for what? National, regional and global stability. It says that if the human beings are at the core of the thought for developing any security parameter or mandate for a state, it should have a national, regional and global consideration towards stability. Any deliberate attempt to switch attention from security of the states to security of the individuals. So deliberate attempt for any kind of attention should be avoided. And the fourth is a word of peace coexistence, including concept of mutual security, common security and cooperative security should also be thought upon. So in this unit, what we have done, we have basically discussed two different mode of security paradigm. The first is security paradigm based on the state, and the second one is based on the human consideration. In human consideration, we put human as a central point of security thought, and under state-centric paradigm, we put the state security as a major factor. So in the state sector major security factors, what happens is that in that a state has to secure its border for any kind of external aggression, and they should have offensive as well as defensive capability. They should have capability for offensive as well as defensive. So when we go for comprehensive analysis of concept of security under the first school of thought, that is state centric, it has 5 major factors which contribute towards security of the state centric security concept. The first is military, second is political, third is economic, fourth is social and fifth is environmental. How do you remember that? Just take the first word MPESE. MPESE, military, political, economic, social and environmental security. For developing any kind of comprehensive definition of the concept of security under the first school of thought, that is state-centric paradigm, should have 5 major factors, that is military, political, economic, social and environmental. And the second is human consideration. If anyone can ask you what is the basic difference between human-centric and state-centric paradigm, so you can say that this is school talk. The first one is the state-centric paradigm is basically realistic school of thought which says that protection of national territory means the state has to take care of its own protection. And the concept of national security is based on 2 major assumptions. The first is most threat of the state security arise from the outside, and there are 5 major factors which contributes toward the security of the nation. The first is military, then political, then social, then environmental, and these all contributes toward the security major concept of the security. So what is the first is military, then political, then economic, then social security and then economic security. Besides this, when we go for human-centric paradigm, so we consider as a human, as an individual, as a human being rather than states as the focal point of security consideration. Human security holds people-centric view which says that which has major implication on the national, regional and global stability when you are considering human security model as a main-centric model for the security of the country or the state. Any deliberate attempt to switch attention from the security of the states to security of the individual come under this particular paradigm of security. A word of peaceful coexistence, including concepts of mutual security, common security and cooperative security, will fall under human-centric paradigm of the security definition over here. Thank you.